It's funny, isn't it, how much you learn by taking a shower and talking to God. And sometimes I learn more in the shower than I do when I study the Bible. And I think this is the issue here really, is this idea of studying the Bible. We have to be careful when we talk about studying the Bible, because it sounds like an intellectual exercise. So we can study the Bible in order to become more knowledgeable about the Bible. It helps us to feed on it intellectually because it's good for our, thought processes, our knowledge gathering, our ability to be able to explain it. And which comes to the second one, is that read the Bible, I do anyway, have done for years, in order to be better at sermons. And so you study the Bible to be able to preach well. You can study the Bible as a kind of almost a magic thing, thinking, well, if I read the Bible more, I'll know the Bible more, and that will somehow make me a better Christian, without really thinking through what it means to become a better Christian. And what's really struck me, thinking about talking to God in the shower, is that the whole point of reading the Bible, at least from the ancients' perspective and the Puritans too, is because by reading the Bible, by spending time in the Bible, by dwelling on the Bible, meditating on the Bible, what you're doing is you are spending time in the company of God. And like a marriage, the more you spend time in the company of another one, the more you become to love them. The more you come to appreciate them, the more you become to understand how their mind works, why they do what they do, what sort of person they are, how they think, what are their qualities, what is it about them that makes you want to love them even more. And it's the same with Christ. Reading the Bible is not just reading the Bible, it's reading the Bible in order to understand God and to draw closer to Him. And the other thing to say about the Bible, and in this sense, or at least the Bible is a means to a certain end, the other thing about it is that if you want to be less selfish as a person, let's say, then the way to do that is to spend time in the company of somebody who was completely unselfish, Jesus. Or if you feel that you're not loving enough, then you spend time with Jesus, who is the quintessence of love. If you want to know how to put God before everything else, exalt God, honour God, glorify God, then what happens? You go and spend time with Jesus, who in all his life exalted God. Yes, you've got the examples of the saints, and you've got the examples of the prophets and the other great characters in there, and they also kind of have much to teach you, but ultimately it's spending time with Jesus that makes you more like Jesus. You become the person you admire most, look up to most, and most want to be like, by spending time in their company and letting it have that kind of effect in you, which the Holy Spirit produces in you when you come to Christ. Because Jesus said, didn't he, in John 15, that he is the vine, we are the branches, and if we abide in him, then he will abide in us. And so what he's basically saying is, the more time that you spend in me, with me, attached to me, close to me, connected to me, the more you will produce the fruit. What fruit? The fruit of the Holy Spirit, the fruit of the character of Jesus. So, I suppose, looking at my life and my habits, then the less time I spend on mindless scrolling, watching mindless videos on YouTube, watching senseless films, and the more time I spend reading, reflecting, meditating on Christ, then guess what? The more time I spend with Jesus, the more like Jesus become. And so in a sense, it's like kind of, it's almost as if Jesus is like the intravenous drip that is attached to your arm so that his healing, his essence, his blood flows into my blood and mingles with it so that I become healthy again. I think that's what it is. And I think this is where I think the death of Christ is informative, really, because yes, he died for my sins, he died in my place, he died to be forgiveness, but most importantly, he died so that believing in him and being filled with the Spirit and then walking with him as the risen Christ, the ever-present Christ, through the Holy Spirit, I become whole and healed. I become like him. I become the person I was meant to be. And when it says, for example, in Genesis, that we are made in the image and likeness of God, let's be a bit more specific. We are made in the image and likeness of Christ. Of Christ. And this is where Christianity really comes home. More than any other religion. It's not a set of beliefs. It's not even a set of practices. It's a personal, a close walk with God, and especially with Christ.